idea is to keep you away from disciplines that will help you to build a future for your people. That's why I call them misguidance counselors. That's what they're there for. And if you're studying engineering and you're having a hard time, do you think they will encourage you? Stick to it. You can do it. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Well, you know what? African American Studies, that's a great course. We have so-and-so coming to teach. And after you get your degree in African American Studies, put that on the market and see what you get. May God bless you, sister. I hope I answered your question.
Praise be to Allah.
Next. Yes, brother.
How you doing, sir? Minister.
I'm doing better. I'm looking at you.
First, I would like to thank you for coming this evening. And I see, as you said, you come, heavily guarded or so. And I say this because I'm going to say exactly what I'm about to do. I'm about to, commit an action, and I just don't want any of the brothers to think I'm going to do anything wrong. And I just wanted to hand you one of my business cards before I ask the question, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
All right.
They weren't going to disturb you, brother.
Okay. My name is Chinedu Nwakafor, and I attend Morgan State University. I'm currently a junior. And before I get into my question, I will say a comment. You did strike very, very good points inside of me. Made me really excited today. And I guess it's sometimes it's a bad thing to have a preconceived notion before you meet someone, because you never know what you will learn. And you did say, why would they, set these people to say things about me and they don't know me? And it's like you said about, Jesus, like when they presented Jesus to the Sanhedrin and everyone pretended as if no one knew who he was. It's the fear of what could be, not what is or what has been, but what could be. And I believe that maybe the words that you have, or the words that you said, or the words that you can say or will say are so powerful that, in this country and worldwide, we would pay any amount to shut that down before we would spend any amount to bring it up. So I think that's why. It's not that your words aren't powerful or inspirational. It's that they fear everything that you are and everything that you could be and will be. But my question today is, the diaspora of African Americans in America is, we're growing exponentially. And you named Barack Obama, you named Malcolm X, and I'm going to name you, Minister Louis Farrakhan. These are all, men, representations. As a people, sometimes we look to our representations and forget to represent ourselves. So we put all the energy, all the power, all the burden on the representation. And then when the representation, I don't like to say the word die, disappear, it's like, oh, what do we do now? Martin's dead. Who do we look? Who's the next representation? Oh, Malcolm's dead. Who's the next representation? So on and so forth. So as a people, how do we better represent ourselves and not always, shift the burden of representation always to a specific figure, except for unilaterally doing it as one people?
Thank you so much. I got chills, brother. Our future is safe with men like you. I thank God for your question, and I thank God for you. I want to address the fear factor first. A liar will always fear the coming of truth. I want you to think about that. Because if those in positions of authority fear words that come out of my mouth, if those words are truth, what is there to fear from truth if you have told the truth?
All right.
What is there to fear from a man who teaches the truth if you have not lied and deceived the people, and you fear the truth from his mouth may wake them up to a great future in themselves? See, Jesus, I got to go back to Jesus now. The reason they feared him is because he spoke the truth.
Yes, sir.
And they were lying to the people. And that's why Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Well, if you are not free yet, who is benefiting from the ignorance that has enslaved our people? Somebody is benefiting
Yes, sir.
from our ignorance. Now watch this. How much money came through the black community last year or this year? The economists say $1.1 trillion. That's a lot of money, brother. A lot. Don't you know that if 10% of $1.1 trillion stayed in our hands, that would be 100 billion, $100 million. What could we do? Think about it. With 100 billion. Somebody is making a killing off of our foolish spending of our wealth. The money comes in our community. It doesn't even circulate one time before it leaves. So if somebody's going to tell the truth and wake black people up to how rich they really are, their poverty is in their spirit and in their disunity. And that's why Jesus said, blessed, not are the poor, blessed are the poor in spirit. For what happens? For theirs is what? That's what they fear. That somebody's going to wake us up and we'll know that the kingdom is ours and we are going to have to prepare to build it. That's what they're afraid of, son. Now, I want to say this to you. No good leader who knows he or she is finite does not prepare a group to take over when he is gone, so that the principles, not the charisma, not the personality, but the principles that a good leader builds his life on, they don't belong to that leader. They belong to every human being who will get those principles, live by those principles. And that is why, coming back to Jesus, you say, well, man, why you keep mentioning Jesus and you a Muslim? That's a good question. There's not a Muslim in this room that does not believe in Jesus.
That's right.
There's 1,600,000,000 of us on the planet. And I can tell you, every Muslim believes in Jesus. Right. You don't know Muhammad. So no, you can't believe in what you don't know. Nobody's telling you about Muhammad, but somebody taught us about Jesus. We grew up in the church, but our holy book, the Quran, mentions Jesus, the son of Mary, the Messiah. Wow. So how come you don't like Muslims if we love the man that you say you love, but you don't know or love the man that we love? It's because we know Jesus. We love Jesus. We know Abraham. We love Abraham. We know Muhammad. And we love Muhammad. Because that's just one community of prophets. And every prophet, son, when they came, they put teachings and principles in others so that when they go, the work continues in the individuals. But here's what happened. You've heard of Marcus Garvey? Do you think that Marcus Garvey did not prepare for the day when he would no longer be here? Of course he did. Martin Luther King was a great brother. Look who was around him. There was Jesse. There was Abernathy. There was the Andrew Young. Just name them. They were his disciples. Now, many of you were not around when Dr. King was alive. What do you know about him? Oh, he said, I have a dream. Mm-hmm. Is that all? Is that all that Dr. King said? Why did they kill him? Because he was dreaming? Mm. They didn't kill him because he was a dreamer. They killed him because he was upsetting a status quo and infusing black people with courage to resist unjust laws.
Yes, sir.
But what happened after brother was assassinated? Ralph David Abernathy tried to continue the Poor People's March, but he wasn't as charismatic.
Right.
And what happened? Jesse went over here and formed Push. Brother Andrew Young became UN ambassador. Come on. Mm-hmm. They started offering us things that take us away from movement.
Right.
So when you go away from the movement dies. Reverend Al Sharpton, he's a brilliant man. I met him when he was just a teenager. Now, of course, he's on television. He has a regular show on MSNBC. So where's movement? Where's movement now? It's not there. It's not that Martin didn't leave people. It's not that Malcolm and Elijah Muhammad didn't leave people. They've reduced Martin Luther King to I have a dream.
That's right.
If you would go and look at that man's speeches and watch his evolutionary development, you would see that he was moving toward a goal, and just before he died, Harry Belafonte was with him, and he was in a very melancholy spirit. The rest of the disciples, they were enjoying themselves, and Harry Belafonte went to Dr. King and said, Dr. King, you know, why are you so melancholy? And according to Harry Belafonte, and other witnesses said the same, Martin Luther King said, I fear that I am integrating my people into a burning house.
Yes, sir.
So now, the great leader of civil rights, he's a dreamer. Malcolm, they reduced him to a slogan, by any means necessary. What did Malcolm teach that got him assassinated? See, Elijah Muhammad was Malcolm's teacher, and my teacher.
That's right.
Elijah Muhammad is off the scene, but he's very present because he had a student
That's right.
that loved him enough to root myself in the principles that made him a great teacher and a great leader. You don't need to keep on looking to a man that's dead. But Jesus said it perfect. Boy, I keep coming back to the master.
Go ahead.
Listen to these words, brother. He was getting ready to go, and they were having their Last Supper. He knew he was about to be betrayed. And he told them, I go to my Father and you see me no more. But at that Last Supper, he took some bread. He had the loaf. The disciples had no bread. He broke the bread and gave it to each one of them. He said, eat this. In what?
Remembrance of me.
That's so beautiful. And likewise, after supper, he took the cup. And he said, this is my blood, boy, that I shed for the New Testament, for the kingdom. Huh? Drink this as oft as you can in what? Remembrance of me. Now, if the book says man cannot live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God, then what was Jesus telling them? Here's my word. Feed on it in your heart. Boy, that's something. And when you feed on the word that I'm giving my life for, I will be in you. Oh, man. And then after supper, he took a cup. No man drinks blood. It's forbidden. But blood is the life fluid of every living creature. What he was telling them is, if you follow my word and follow the life that I lived, my example, I will be with you to the end of the world. So you don't need to look for another leader. He's right inside you.
That's right.
Prophet Muhammad said the same thing. If you follow this Quran, which is the word, and my sunnah, my example, you'll never go astray. So death has to come to all of us. That's why I said to you, I'm going down into the valley of death. I want to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
I want to put something in your head, hopefully in your heart, that if I never see you again, those words will come back up. You can reach up for God. He'll never leave you if you study who you are, what you are. Then you can say like David, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And when I heard you talking, my dear brother, Mr. Chinedu, Wakifo. That's a beautiful African name. Are your parents from here or from there? From there. What part of Africa?
Nigeria.
Nigeria. I spent time there, son. Had a great time in Nigeria teaching. You weren't born, maybe. Abacha named the street for me where the American embassy is. I'm sure they changed it. You are the possibility of a great leader. Just imbue yourself with the principles. not the personality, but the principles that every great personality builds their life on. Jesus had a personality, but he built his life on principles that never die. And that's why he could go. Then Peter, then Paul, then the disciples became apostles, and today his name rings. So you don't always look to the man that once was here. You followed that man by living the life that he showed you and imbuing your life with his principles. Thank you for your question. I went around the bush, but I'm really proud of you, son. What is your discipline? Don't you tell me African American studies.
It's funny. It originally was. I laughed because I came to school. It's funny because you said it, so I'm laughing. I went to school wanting to be an engineer because my dad said that would bring money to the house. But through experience, and I'm through God, not even experience, through God, I changed my major to do speech communications. And I also want to go to law school.
Well, your father was right in that Nigeria needs engineers. And we need great communicators of ideas. Law is fine. Engineering is better. Law is fine, but whose law? What law? See, I don't mind us being lawyers, but you got to learn to think outside the box. Because every profession, every discipline has a box. And if you stay in that box, you will never grow beyond the box. And no discipline that you study is absolute. So if your education confines you to a book where you quote the book and get an A in quotology, not critical thinking, because a critical thinker stands on top of your master. If you notice, Paul never said he was not a disciple of Jesus, but he was a thinker. And all those Pauline doctrines, some people say he wasn't even a follower of Jesus. They are liars. He was the best follower of Jesus because he went into Jesus' teaching and developed a body of knowledge that lives. Stand on top of your teachers and go beyond. I pray that you be a good engineer, but Daddy, he might have said, good, son, be an engineer because that will bring money. Well, that's the education of this world. It's about money, not service. But Africa needs engineers. I was just talking with someone who may run for the presidency of a certain African country. The country that she represents is rich with oil and gold and diamonds and rubber. Once they discovered oil, who came? Not black people from Nigeria, but black people from Nigeria could have come because black people from Nigeria have oil. But it's white folks running it. I don't know how much we know about how to extract it. My teacher said it's one thing to know that iron ore is in the earth. It's another thing entirely to extract it out of the earth and put it into the service of self and others. So to know that you have oil, then Chevron comes, BP comes, Amoco and Shell come, and then China comes, and Russia comes, and black folk are doing this. In South Africa, the miners now are rising.
Yes, sir.
Platinum mines, but who owns it? White folk. Gold mines, but who owns it? White folk. Diamond mines, but who owns it? White folk. But it's your country. Why don't you own the wealth that's under your foot? So Nelson Mandela was a great leader, but he knew that his people were not ready to take over all of the industries that white folk had developed. But it's now over 20 years. We should be able to say, we'll take this. We'll do this. And that's what you represent, the future of Nigeria, which is a wealthy country with a lot of corruption. But you can go back and change that reality. Man, I wish I had more time to talk with you, but you have already impressed me greatly that the future is very great for you. You in your person teach many lessons. Just stand up and let people look at you. And they say, wow, look at this. He has blonde hair. He has white skin, but he's an African. What does that tell you about the possibility of black people producing the entire human family? He is the witness that we produce black, brown, red, yellow, and white. It all comes from you. And they don't want me to tell you that you are the father of the whole human family. Because if you know you're the father, then you'll wake up and correct your children and take control of the house.
That's right.
That's why they're afraid.
That's right. That's right.
Sister. Yes, ma'am. This is going to be the last question, unfortunately. All right, brother. You'll be the last. Oh, God.
Okay, you know there's always going to be more questions. Okay.
I'm sorry? All right, sir. Tell me what the problem is, and you give me your question, and you give me yours, and I'll try to combine it all. Yes, sir. Brother, you.
So,
Wait. Let her do
okay.
the mic, and then you.
Okay.
Okay, this is actually a good question to combine. I'm Regina Davis. I'm visiting here from Oakland, California as an invited speaker, and by Het Haru. And my discipline is architecture. And one of the reasons why I was interested in coming is because I'm impressed that students are finally seeing the value and also the threat to historically black colleges. But what I wanted to bring from my discipline and the work that I do is that historically black colleges, their future